Hello everyone, I'm going to go over my level 97 Witch Necromancer that has Cast Golems, Raging Summoning Spirits, and Summoning Skeletons. I'm going to go over the build and how I would level it. If you've watched my video before, then you might know how I do this, but I'm going to go over it again. So, let me begin. My first stop would be Lord of the Dead, and then I would get Death Attunement. You're going to get +1 to Spectres, +2 to raise zombies, and +2 to skeletons. Getting these two nodes is going to increase your damage and survivability. After that, I would go and get Sacrifice, which is going to increase the health regeneration, your mana's light, and your minion's life. Then you're going to swing all the way down, picking up all these goodies, and then you're going to stop at Grave Pack, which is more damage for your minions. After Grave Pack, you're going to go to Redemption, which is more damage for your minions. This is a really good node to get. Then you're going to get Sovereignty. Oh, oops, wrong one. This is Sovereignty, and this is for increased mana reservation efficiency of skills, which is going to allow you to use more auras at once. And the first aura you're going to want to get is Purity of Elements. And what Purity of Elements does is it increases your elemental resists and makes you immune to elemental ailments. I find that Purity of Elements, I use it in almost every build that I use, and I think it's the best aura in the game. Then, after that, you're going to get the health nodes on the build, and the health nodes are definitely up to you when you get them. You have Purity of Flesh. You have the Life Mastery, which increases your maximum life and reduces your health recovery rate, which kind of sucks, but it's still really good. Then you have Heart and Soul, and then you have Combat Stamina. And then after all the health nodes, you're going to want to pick up the block nodes. And at any moment, when you get to level 34 and after, you could use Golem Commander for an extra summoning golem. It also increases the buff that your golems give you. So in this case, it's going to be physical damage reduction. Now I'm going to go over the block nodes in the order that I would get them. I would get Agmatic Defense first because it gives you both spell block and block chance at the same time. And then I'll go down and I get Whirling Barrier, which also increases your block and attack, spell block and block chance. I would get the Staff Mastery, 30% increased defenses while wielding a staff. Then I would go and get Steel Ward Stance, and I would get the Staff Mastery again, which recovers your energy shield and life by 2% when you block with the staff. And then you are going to get the last one, which is Mystic Bulwark. And now I'm going to go over Eldritch Battery. Eldritch Battery, this node protects your mana with your energy shield and allows you to summon your skeletons and Raging Summoning Spirits a lot easier. Because if you were going to just cast them with mana, it's extremely hard. So using Eldritch Battery is going to be up to you. I can't really say when you're going to feel comfortable, when you have enough life in order to use it. Also, I don't have it on my build right now, or I'm not going to have it in the PoB, but you could also use Mind Over Matter, which does 40% of damage is taken from mana before life, and it's a pretty good effective hit pool buff on your character, so that's definitely up to you. But what's going to happen is that you're going to have a harder time to actually keep your Summoning Skeletons and Raging Summoning Spirits up while doing maps if you get hit. So it's a toss-up if you really want it. Like, not having it, it's going to be easier to have your Summoning Skeletons and your Raging Summoning Spirits, but with it, you're going to be more survivable. I also forgot to go over the Mastery for Armor. You could definitely pick up the Armor Mastery, 20% chance to defend with 200% armor whenever you want. And I also forgot that the 20 increased effective offerings on the Minion Offensive Mastery. These two are definitely up to you when you get them. So I'm going to go over the Cluster Jewels right now. And both of the Cluster Jewels I have on right now are 35% increased effect to small passive skills and 3% increased attack and cast speed for minions. These two stats I think are the best that you could get for this build and damage on the build. And then the other small passive skills are definitely up to you, or for you to supplement your build, your resist, or whatever way you want to go. And both of these gems cost me 3 divine, so I'm just saying that now, that the cost could be more now, so I apologize if I'm wrong. And as always, if I'm wrong about something, please let me know, because I don't want to put out misinformation on stuff. So, alright. The other cluster jewel is practically the same as this one. Now I'm going to go over the Animate stone. What the Animate stone does is give you +1 more summoning golem. And when you have 3 primordial jewels added with the Animate stone, you are getting another golem. So when getting the Animate stone, or if you're leveling or building a golem build, you're going to want to have this one first. Buy this one first in order to get more golems, to get more damage and DPS. There are 3 different variants of the primordial jewel, and I believe the best one is golems have 17% chance to increase attack and cast speed, and 30% increased effective buffs granted by your golems, and golems have increased armor. And then there's another one, Primordial Might, which gives your minions some buffs and everything. And it also makes your golems aggressive, which is very nice. Then I have the Immutable Force, which makes stuns recovering very fast, so it's almost like not having you get stunned. And the Forbidden Flesh and the Forbidden Flame are going to be Void Beacon. I will go over Void Beacon in a second. Then you're going to have the Watcher's Eye. And the stat lines that you want for the Watcher's Eye are going to be cast resist while affected by Purity of Elements, and phasing while affected by haste. What phasing does is it allows you to run through creatures, Frostwall, and all that other stuff that makes you bang your head on in this game. Both those stat lines are perfect for this build, if you ask me. You could also get another stat line for the Watcher's Eye, but it's going to be much, much, much more expensive. Alright, I'm going to go over the Ascendancies and how I would actually go about getting them. So my first step would be Commander of Darkness, which increases your minions' damage. And it also increases you and your minions' elemental resist by 30. Very good Ascendancy. And then you're going to get Mindless Aggression, which increases your minions' damage. And then Unnatural Strength, or you could get Bone Barrier. Unnatural Strength gives your minions a lot of DPS increase. And then Bone Barrier increases your survivability. And while using Bone Armor on the Ascendancy, when you have 10 minions around you, it increases the physical damage reduction by 10%. And it also increases the recovery rate of life and energy shield by 20%. This only goes up to 20. This only goes up to 10 minions, so having more than 10 minions doesn't really matter. Now you got Void Beacon from the Forbidden Flame and the Forbidden Flesh. And what this is doing is that it is giving the creatures nearby you negative 20% increase the cast resist, which is good for this build. It will increase the damage of your build a lot. And then it also has nearby enemies have 100% reduced life regeneration rate. This is not calculated in the DPS, full DPS of a build, but I think it's extremely good. Alright, let me look at the build really quick. Alright, that goes over the talent tree. I'm going to jump into the skills. And I'm going to jump into the Summoning Raging Spirits. I have the normal variant of Summon Raging Spirits, level 21. And the amount of Summon Raging Spirits you're going to have at next level is going to be 20. And you do not need the level 21 Summoning Raging Spirits. I'm not sure about the cost on the Summoning Raging Spirits gem level 21. I'm going to assume it's not that expensive because a lot of people use it, but I can't give a pinpoint currency number on it, and I apologize. Then you have Awakened minion damage, which is about a divine or less. Then you have Awakened added cast damage, which is a divine or less. You have Awakened Unleash, which is 8 divine when I got it, so it could be more, I apologize. You could also use Unleash, which is going to be much, much, much cheaper than that. Then I have Multi-Strike, a different variant, and the variant is almost as good as Awakened Multi-Strike. The gem level does not matter. What you were looking for on the Multi-Strike gem is the quality and the variant, but I'm assuming that the default will work just as fine and is very cheap. Then you have Awakened Bound Ailments, which is about a divine or less. Alright, I am going to go over the Cast Golems and the Veil Summoning Skeletons, 5 links. And you are going to have 4 Summoning Golems, Cast Golems, and the level 21 variant is very cheap and it is the best variant to have for damage. Then the same rules apply to the Multi-Strike for the Summoning Cast Golems and Summoning Skeleton, 5 links. Then you have Awakened Void Manipulation. When I got it, it was 3 divine, so I'm going to say it's about 3 divine as well. Then you have Awakened Unbound Ailments, which is about a divine or less. Then you have Empowered 4, which is going to be expensive. I am not sure about the price on it, but when I got it, it was 8 divine. You do not need Empowered 4. You could definitely use an Empowered 3 to lower the currency cost of the 5 links. And the damage decrease is non-existent almost. Then I have Veil Summoning Skeletons, and you are going to have 11 of them at max level. And the level 21 Veil Summoning Skeletons gem is very expensive. So you're probably going to want to get the Veil Summoning Skeletons level 20 gem. I'm assuming the normal variant of Summoning Skeletons will work with it as well. But when you have Veil Summoning Skeletons and you use the Veil Summoning Skeletons, it increases your damage by about 6 million, which is very good. It's a nice DPS increase for bosses at end of the maps. Alright, on the gloves we have Withering Step, and Withering Step increases your Withering stacks really high when you actually touch a mob. And Withering Stack is like a little circle around your character. It's not very big, so you're going to have to stay close to monsters when you actually want to use Withering Step. Withering Step also is a great movement speed increase, and it also gives you Elusive, which is going to increase your effective hit pool. Then there's Enhance. You definitely use Enhance 4 or 3, and it's going to increase the amount of stacks that you do with Withering Stack. Then I have Veil Haste. You do not need Veil Haste, I just have it on my build. You could definitely use the normal variant of Haste, which is going to be cheap. And I do not have the Veil Haste enabled, and I won't when I post the PoB. But when you use Veil Haste, it is about a 3 million DPS increase. Then you have Desecrate, which is going to allow you to raise Spectres and just Spectres. And then it'll allow you to also use Flesh Offering when there are no mobs. Now I'm going to go over the boots. You have Flesh Offering, a buff that increases your minions' attack speed and run speed by about 30%. And now you have Withering Touch. And Withering Touch is a debuff to Withering Stack that increases the amount of Withering Stacks that you do. And this is linked to the Raised Spectres, so it is going to be, your Raised Spectres are going to be doing it all the time. And it's going to be added on top of the Withering Step, Withering Touch stacks. That's a mouthful. Then you have Feeding Frenzy, which is a buff that your Raised Spectres give the minions when they hit creatures or monsters. And then you have Raised Spectres. You're going to be using Carnage Chieftains, and you have 3 of those. Now I'm going to go over the helmet, and you have Skitterbots. Skitterbots are going to be your curse aura. So I'm using the Skitterbots with my Despair and Temporal Chains with the Profane Proxies rings, and I will go over those in the item section in a little bit. but it's a lot of damage to have summoning skitter bots with your Curses, Despair, and Temporal Chains going. Then I have Veil Blight unticked, but you only want to use Veil Blight and not use Blight. Then I have Purity of Elements, which is the most important buff in the game, I think, and the first one you want to use when leveling and being at endgame. Then you have Determination, which is going to increase your armor and survivability. Bone Armor, I use Bone Armor, and you get Bone Armor from Bone Barrier on the Ascendancies. Commandment of Reflection is nothing, you do not need it, it's just a waste of space. Alright, that goes over the skills. I'm going to go over the items. I'm using the Cane, and the Cane I think is the best item in the game because it gives you increased maximum, your minions increase maximum life, and all the stats are really, really good. If you're hurting on currency or leveling this, I would remove the +3 level of socketed support gems and the quality of socketed support gems and just get the meat and potatoes of the Cane, and that would be the maximum life, increased damage, and increased attack speed and cast speed for minions. The helmet is optimized extremely good, and you do not need the chance to suppress spell damage for it, which will lower the cost. I got it for 8 Divine. It might be cheaper or more expensive depending on what you get. And you also are looking for the increased mana reservation efficiency of skills on the chest to make sure that you could use all your auras. The benchcraft you're looking to get on the helmet is +1 to raise zombies and the +1 to skeletons. I'm using the chest, and the chest implicits are wrong. You could definitely change those any way you want. And the key stat on your chest, or stats, are going to be minions have chance to poison enemies on hit. And this chest always has 60% chance to poison enemies on hit. And we're looking for increased mana reservation efficiency of skills on the chest as well. And I got this very, very cheap. You could probably buy one that's on 6-link and make it pretty cheap too. So I'm hoping they're still cheap. I'm using the Triad Grip, and the Triad Grip has all 4 white sockets. And what that does is it makes your minions do all chaos damage. And what that does is when a monster has energy shield, the minions will bypass the energy shield and go straight to the health of the monster that you're attacking or trying to kill. The boots you could get anywhere. You're gonna find good boots, and you could definitely just supplement the stats that you want. And I always look for increased movement speed. The necklace has haste on it with Whispers of Doom. You could use different variants of this necklace, and the variant that is the cheapest at the moment is Purity of Elements, and the last time I checked it was going for 4 Divine. The Anointment Whispers of Doom costs about 150 to 120 Chaos Orbs to put on, and you're going to need 3 golden oils to do that. It's the most expensive anointment in the game. Then I have 2 Profane Proxies, and what these do is when you actually put a gem inside the Profane Proxy or a Cursed Gem, and you use a Skitterbot, that Skitterbot will make that curse an aura. And I'm using 2 of them, one for Despair and one for Temporal Chains. And these are very cheap. They're not going to be very expensive. I'm using the Darkness of Enthroned, and what that does is it increases the effect of socketed Abyss Jewels, and you get 2 sockets for Abyss Jewels. And the jewels I'm using are increased. The stats you're looking for Ghastly Eye Jewels on here are going to be minions deal increased damage if you use a minion skill recently, and then minions have a chance to poison enemies on hit. All the rest of the stats are the stats that you're looking for that are going to increase the damage of your build are going to be minions have increased attack speed, or minions deal chaos or physical damage. I am using the blood, and what the blood does is it recovers 2,628 life over 2.7 seconds, and after that time is up, it recovers full life at the end of the effect. I find this to be very, very useful on maps where your health regeneration is cut significantly. I'm using the Pro, and the Pro is really good. And the last time I checked, it was going for 12 Divine. I got it very cheap at the beginning of the league, but what it does is when hit during the effect, 25% of the life lost from damage taken occurs over 4 seconds instead. It's a very cool flask, and I use it when charges reach full. If you don't have the currency to get the Pro, then you could definitely get a Granite flask, and I would get stat lines for more armor and make it use when charges reach full. The block chance flask has block attack and block spell, and I use when charges reach full. This is pretty inexpensive. I'm using a Quicksilver flask, and that increases your run speed. And then I'm using Bottle of Faith, which gives you Consecrated Ground, gives your minions Consecrated Ground, which is going to increase their damage and increase your health regeneration. I went over the jewels, so you'll know all about those. I'm going to go over the configuration now. I'm using the Major and Minor Gods. I'm using the Major God that increases your physical damage reduction and increase movement speed by 8% for each nearby enemy by you. It also has other stat lines and everything, but it doesn't matter. The Major and Minor God are definitely up to you and how you feel like you want to play. You could definitely switch it whenever you're doing it boss or anything like that, but I'm usually using the same two all the time lately, so it's up to you as well. And I use the Minor God that doesn't allow you to be hit by bleed when moving after the effect hits you. We have Frenzy charges from Carnage Chieftains from Act 2. You have Elusive from Withering Step. You have 10 minions around you, or summon minions. You have more, but only 10 really count. Are you on Consecrated Ground? Yes, you have Bottle of Faith. Number of enemies nearby, you probably have around 8 if you're playing high level. Have you been recently? Yes. Have you blocked recently? Yes. Have you used a minion skill recently? Yes. We will be using Raging Summoning Spirits and Summoning Skeletons. Corpses consumed recently is going to be 5 for Flesh Offering. We have Feeding Frenzy from the Feeding Frenzy gem linked to the raised Spectres. We have 15 Withering Stacks from Withering Touch and Withering Step. This is going to change or vary from time to time, so you want to make sure that you get 15 most of the time on bosses and everything. But if you're doing monsters on a map and everything, it really doesn't matter. So then, is an enemy on Consecrated Ground? Yes, you're using Battle of Faith. And this build is set to Guardian Pinnacle, and the full DPS is about 55 million. And then you could switch whatever you want. You got no standard boss, and then you have Guardian Pinnacle, which is about the full DPS is 21.3 million, which I find to be really good. I'm gonna set it to Guardian Pinnacle.